Hey everybody, it's November the 18th, it's 2:48 a.m. 2009, and this is The Unknown Critic. When I started to think about making this show, I wanted to do something really good for the first episode. I wanted to choose a movie that most people hadn't heard of, and even if they did, wouldn't admit that we actually watched. So I'm going to start out this first episode with 1977's Blood Shack. Most people know that this was also known as The Chopper, and it is a film by the Program Releasing Corporation. Yes, that's what I said, the Program Releasing Corporation, which is quite possibly the worst name in film history. I watched this on Crackle.com during their Halloween time, I guess. They put out a lot of really obscure horror movies on this site. If you like Hulu, I definitely recommend Crackle. You can watch a lot of movies and a lot of good TV shows. But I have to say, this is probably the worst thing I've ever seen. And I need you to understand, I like bad movies. I love those. But this is, however, quite possibly the one that broke the camel's back. This film screams cheap at every moment. It's barely got a runtime of an hour, and 5 seconds or so before the end of the movie is when the plot actually picks up. The whole time you're asking yourself, why am I watching this? And I'm not going to... I mean, some facts here. Okay, this movie uses a whopping 4 locations. That's 4 locations, okay? You get the old house, which is the lair of the Chopper, a desert outpost, trailers, and rundown houses in the background that you never know what that is, and believe it or not, a rodeo. That's it. And when you need a device for the actors to get out of frame just so another actor can mistakenly go into the old house, they simply, quote-unquote, go to town, which is most of the time them just driving away. You never see what they went to town for, but the point being is that I watched this thing. It's, like I said, a stinker. The thing that bothers me the most is the main character, or one of the main characters' name is Daniel, and he's supposedly some sort of handyman that watches the old house for the owners. And he continuously uses the term, instead of the Chopper, he continuously calls him the Chooper. The Chooper, people. Chooper. I first thought maybe this was some sort of dialogue, or maybe this was a dialect. Maybe they were from somewhere where they couldn't explain the word properly to him, but he keeps calling it Chooper, to the point that other actors actually refer to this creature or ghost or whatever it is as the Chooper. A funny note is a friend of mine asked me about this movie, and I told him the guy's name was the Chopper. And he asked me, well, does he do a lot of chopping? In fact, he does more of a lot of stabbing. And my friend asked me, well, why didn't they name him the Stabber? But, getting down to the plot, which there isn't a whole lot of, basically Daniel has the most mundane dialogue within the entire storyline, which usually his sentences are, don't go in that house, or I told you to get away from that house, and the rest of the time he's an incoherent boob. But basically this Chopper character is supposed to exist in this old house. Daniel protects people from going there. I don't know why, but sooner or later a young lady shows up who has bought or inherited, I think, yes, inherited the location, and he tells her the story of the Chopper, or Chooper, if you will. And we also meet another guy. His name is Tim Forrester. Tim wants to buy the land from her because supposedly there's an artesian well underneath there somewhere. I don't know. But what it comes down to is she doesn't want to sell. Daniel wants to keep people away from the Chooper. I hate that word. God, I hate that word. And basically you go through this whole thing, and then about 3/4 of the way through, probably the second or third reel of the movie, I would say, all of a sudden the entire plot breaks down to a point of nothing, and everybody goes to the rodeo. And literally the film part of this, oh, it stinks so much, it's making it hard to describe it. But basically, it's like they took the entire cast and crew and said, let's go to the rodeo, and then just filmed them at the rodeo. It's just a musical number on top of them watching horses, and watching calves being roped, and eating rodeo food. I digress. The end of the movie comes as quite as a shock, because it's getting close to that hour mark, and you know that the movie's going to be up, and still there's been no climactic scene. When it finally does, the girl that has bought this place is attacked by, quote-unquote, the Chooper. God. And she is chased the shortest chase scene ever, which is basically around the house one time. And this house isn't a big house, it's quite small, so it takes literally almost 15 seconds to turn around the house, which at this point, Daniel, who we thought was stabbed, attacks the chopper, whatever the hell his name is, and after a fight scene that lasts literally maybe 8 seconds, he knocks the guy out after being stabbed, and then stabs him. This whole time, the heroine basically prances around in high heels and a horrible 70s outfit that I can only describe as red, white, and blue and stars. The ending is the worst part about it because she rushes to Daniel, and Daniel sits there, he's bleeding, he's obviously dying, and he says, "That wasn't the real Trooper. He wasn't 150 years old." And when they take off the mask, just like Scooby-Doo style, who is it? It's Tim Forrester, the guy that wanted to buy the place in the first place. All I gotta say is, this was so bad, I think I told 8 or 9 people within 24 hours of watching this movie exactly how bad this movie was. I love these kind of films, but when it comes down, this probably was given to a drive-in or a grindhouse or something. And I hate to think that this thing might have made money. I mean, Anyway, when it comes down to it, I think these are one of those movies that you will remember because you'll start comparing it to other movies you watch. You'll be with a group of friends sitting in the living room, and some idiot will say, "Well, it wasn't all that bad." And you'll say, "Yeah, it wasn't Blood Shack." And then everybody will moan, roll their eyes. Why? Because you were the jerk that made them watch this crap. Like I said, I'm the Unknown Critic. I will be seeing you next week. Be seeing you.